September 27th, 2022 meeting of the Dover School Committee. My name is Sarah Gutierrez-Dunn, and I call this meeting to order at 7:02 p.m. We're pleased to hold this open meeting at Chickering School this evening, and we are also Zooming. And please note that this meeting is being recorded. First on our agenda this evening is community comments. And we have provided a Zoom link for those who wish to make a comment but for whom it is not possible or prefer to attend in person this evening. So before I read the preamble, is there anyone who would like to make a community comment? Do we have anyone attending in Zoom?
No, I was planning on shutting it down after a community comment. That's okay.
So don't think we don't have any other
Yes.
viewers or laptops. Presentations have not done.
Okay.
All right, then we're recording, so we'll post this to.
Yes. Yep.
Excellent. All right. Well, hearing no community comments, then let's go ahead and move right to the next item on our agenda, which is a presentation from our PTO president, Tinley Gilbert.
Okay,
Welcome.
thank you so much. Thank you for having me here. I'm sorry about my voice. I'm really thrilled to be here. My name is Tinley Gilbert. I have 4 children in the system. I have 2 here, 2nd grade and 5th grade. I have a 7th grade boy at the middle school, and I have a sophomore daughter at the high school. They're all thriving, and we love it here. So I have the pleasure of filling the amazing shoes of goalie and being the PTO president this year. And so today I know I need to keep it brief because we have a busy agenda. So if there's anything that I don't get to or any questions you think of later, I'm an open book. Feel free to reach out to me. Never a question. So let me see. I don't actually usually present from this computer. There we go. So our PTO vision for this year, which we're sharing with the parents later this week, is enhance, educate, engage, and excel. So coming out of COVID, where we've had a lot of parents or a lot of situations where we haven't been able to have events, maybe some parents have come into the community but never were able to actually engage into the school. We want to make sure that we can enhance our programs, educate the parents about them, engage the parents, and then excel. So we've been spending, even with goalie in the spring, kind of preparing for this year, reviewing and evolving all of our PTO activities to maximize their impact that they have on the children, the teachers, and the families, educating and assessing how we communicate with our families to make sure people know about what we're doing, then engaging the parents through a variety of different ways. So for example, room parents this year, we felt the need to actually create a grade level coordinator to create some parity and experiences with the teachers, the parents, and the students. So that's a way that we've engaged more parents, and we're creating some parity across each grade and through the grades. And Deb and Christine Atkinson and Jim have been amazing in helping us do that. And lastly, excelling. We believe that through the top 3 that we can then really excel at what we have out to do. And I'm really excited to talk about all the hard work that our team did this summer to make that happen. So first of all, this is our board this year. I won't go through the names, but just see if you know anyone on it and thank them, because they've been working really hard. And a lot of them worked throughout the summer. So it's a really great group. And of course, goalie is like my 911. Oh, poor thing. I'm like, are you at work? Do you have 5 minutes? So we're back to events. And being the person that had to be in charge of events last year, and I wasn't sure what we were going to do, I'm really happy to say that we're back to events. And the only thing that's not on here is all of our CE, which I'm so excited about. But these are the events where we can bring the community back. We've already had our back to school picnic, which if you were there, you saw that it was a resounding success. And the people that shut down the dance floor were all the children, like literally like 30 children. The DJ's like, I have to go to bed. Dover Days, I mean, I can't even believe it. We made over $2,000 in Dover Days this year just by selling popcorn, cotton candy, but we were the only ones that had the water. So, and then the open house was last week. And so this coming up, we are doing picture day. We have our open board meeting, obviously parent-teacher conferences. And then and we helped with the cereal box challenge last week, which was awesome. So some of our favorite things that we're doing, again, instead of doing the candy and other things in November, we did something last year that we're doing again, letter and sock drive for our local service people. And then this year we don't have the big auction, but we do have our check writing campaign. So all the rest is familiar. We are bringing back the science fair this year, which is great. We're bringing back trivia night. Last year with Goalie, we started the 5th grade playdate to try and create some alignment before they head into 6th grade. And so it's exciting. It's a good year. It's a good place to be a kid. So I really want to spend a couple of minutes talking about our budget because I probably think that that's what you're most concerned about. And with Goalie at our head last year, we really took a lot of, I'd say it was a high priority of ours coming out of COVID to better understand how the budget works. Because when you have an auction year and then a check writing year, the auction year carries. So it's really a 2-year cycle. And for some of you that were at my presentation in June, we tried to really bring that home. So it anticipates a surplus in auction years, and we had a big one last year, and a deficit in check writing years. And so we had a $25,000 surplus last year because our auction was so successful. But it offsets our loss for this year. And there's a lot of other things, Liz, I know that we have talked about and so we're working all that stuff in terms of getting the money into the classrooms, but I think you'll see that a lot of money is going to our children. So I don't know that I want to spend time on last year. I want to talk about, this, since I talked to you in June, our curriculum enrichment budget actually were able to decrease, and it's our biggest expense, but a lot of it was going to the Audubon without a lot of really strict and focused discussion about if it was the most efficient use of our money. So starting in around March, we started talking to Powysset and other farms, because also if you're getting Audubon from kindergarten all the way up to 5th grade, maybe there's something else. And we also felt like we wanted to create a little bit of competition to bring the cost down. So our team, Amy Collins and Randy Benson, worked so hard this summer. They decreased the budget from $9,000 while adding 5 extra programs. New authors, new programs, new alignment with Powysset Farm, which is in our own town. I mean, I have chills thinking about it. When they told me that, I was like, I am not worthy of being related to you in your sphere. We did add an expense of $50,000 for auction-funded summer grants, and I'm happy to say that, so this is money that was raised just at the auction for a wish list for all the teachers throughout the school. And over the summer, God love Julia Cavan, who now is a prime member at Lakeshore Learning, they all were delivered by the time that the kids got to school, so between June and August. So we're really proud of that. And again, that's the money that's getting raised and within like 2 months ending up in your kids' classrooms. We increased the teacher discretionary funds. Every teacher gets $250. We remind them to use it. And then also in terms of that engaging, we've added $1,000 to a president's discretionary use. So it's just really more about community events. So if we can engage the parents and get them to know one another, we feel like that would help the community in general. So our projected income this year is $65,000, $66,000. Our expenses are around $100,000. There is a loss, but we also had that surplus left over from last year. And there are some items, and I know this is a topic of discussion all the time, there are some things that just like the teachers don't use, and we're trying to get them to use it. But we also can't give out $100 gift cards, because what if they don't use it, then we've got $100 sitting out there. And so we're trying to find a way to use that. But in general, we believe that we'll come in very close to an even year. I have a feeling our check writing campaign is going to go well. So these are our projected sources of income. $39,000 for check writing. Other fundraising, I explained to you guys in June that we were going to increase our fundraising through an art campaign, more gear sale. We are looking into a 5K in the spring. That is a Chickering 5K and the directory, ads for the directory. And so these are the different sources of income. And pass through, just so you know, it's like money we get, but then we have to line item it out on the other side of expenses. So that's why we call it pass through. And then lastly, here are our expenses. So this is my favorite chart because this is, we only have of expenses that actually don't go to the kids, $4,000 out of our entire budget. And I'd say that actually goes to the kids because most of the administrative stuff is to support the teachers for like lunches and things. So like last week at open house, we had dinner for everybody. So our budget is high, about $100,000, but I would say outside of the fundraising expenses, $98,000 of it go back to the teachers and the kids. So I think that's the end of my presentation. I'm sorry, I'm just gonna brief. Are there any questions? Yes, Liz, I'm hoping. Yes.
I just wanted to say thank you because this is like kind of what I was asking for last year.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel so much better that like yeah, the money's really going back to the kids and it's not just like sitting somewhere waiting for some special moment.
Yeah.
And that is really, really fortunate and a testament to you guys. Like, you've done a great job thinking about this, and I like particularly appreciate what you were just talking about with the Audubon stuff. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy to get comfortable, especially when you feel like something's working and like it's been really stressful in schools. But the fact that you guys like one is supporting somebody within our community.
Yeah.
I just think that was really creative.
I appreciate that.
Can
I say something just really quick
Yeah.
about CE? We have to say the teachers. The teachers look hard in the spring and summer, look at the curriculum and think, you know what, that guy doesn't, this is no longer in 4th grade, it's now in 3rd, and they give up the money, and then the last thing is, or this author wasn't engaging, so we'll give up that author for a more engaging. So I really just want to make sure that the teachers get a lot of credit and our volunteers. Okay.
That's awesome. I get stuck on this like $250 for the teachers because every teacher spends like so much more than that for us, and it bugs me that not everyone takes advantage of that, and I'm wondering why. Like, is it an arduous experience to like try and get your $250? Like, how can we make that happen? Because
So,
it just seems
We had a whole long conversation after.
we could do. Like,
Well, I mean, my background is in problem solving, so I'm really trying to problem solve it. But you know, we thought about we couldn't pass an audit if we just bought $100 gift cards and passed them out to
that
people.
makes sense. Right?
Like, our treasurer was like, no. So we do have a process that is auditable where it goes through, and we are very communicative. So aside from sitting in the teacher's lounge or coming to maybe a teacher presentation, like a staff meeting, but even Christine Atkinson, as our PTO representative, who's a 5th grade teacher, even she communicates it. We do have our grants. I mean, they do get a lot of money. I don't know if they and we keep it open almost all year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's something we can take. People forget.
Yeah.
We have
kind.
kind.
I used to go to this warehouse to get as much free stuff as I possibly can, so I just can't. I mean, maybe they're really lucky and have. Like,
I mean, you know what? Maybe we could put stuff in. Yeah, I think a lot of them save things from year to year, but I do think that we could put more communication about it in the teacher's lounge. Maybe it could. I mean, we do really work hard to communicate this to them. I mean, Christine Atkinson, God love her. She's at every board meeting of ours. We're all very close to her. So we're not holding it back, and we're not creating a process that's difficult. We'll try and make it easier, or we'll try and be more communicative. I really just think it's about whether or not they want to take the time to do it. And we looked at other ways, but we have to be very clear. Like, we need to have a record and we need the receipts, and we can't just do Amazon gift cards or anything. The truth of the matter is, what worked really well was the wish list. And so,
I was gonna ask how that worked.
So that worked really well. And to your point, actually, the only solution we came up with, not the only, but we talked about this last year. My old school in Connecticut did something called Season of Giving, where you as a parent, and it was also online, you go and they say, I want wobbly chairs in my room. I want another whiteboard. I want whatever. And then there's some for like kids that may not get Christmas stuff. So that goes through Jim, where, you know, I want to give $200 to a family that maybe needs it. And Jim, our old vice principal, would manage that account. And that was called Season of Giving, and it ran through December 1st until the end of the year. And you could just ship it straight to the school via Amazon. You just go, you pick up your thing. So we've talked about doing that. And if we did that, it would have to shift away from that $250. It would be a different way to do it. And we're not against it. We just have to, it's a busy time of year for us. So we've got, I mean, it sounds lame because our number one priority is the children, but we just have to figure out how to operationalize it well. So that's the other thing we thought. We thought Amazon gift cards for Season of Giving.
Yeah, doing like Season of Giving during Teachers Week or.
Well, yeah, you could do it both times. You
Yeah.
could do it in the holiday. I would like the holiday piece because you can leave stuff there for families that have need financial assistance, and you know that's what we would do. So.
Well, thanks for thinking about it.
We are. Call me. We'll come up with some other options. Okay. Anything else? Yes, ma'am.
I also wanted to say thank you for all you're doing. It's very special for me to listen to your presentation since we went through a lot of these discussions last year, listening to your visions, and now seeing that you're making them happen one by one. It's just very, very, very exciting for me, and I'm very excited for the year to come at PTO. And I think the changes that you have already made they're amazing. The CE changes for years we were doing stuff that we were comfortable with without really looking into it. And I think it is really good that you engage teachers and you made the changes that are very helpful, bringing the budget down and also making these programs more efficient. Thank you.
I had the best leader.
Oh.
Okay, well, you know where to find me at one of any of the schools, because I'm always at one of them.
Thank you.
Thank you for the time. Happy to come in any other time you guys want some updates.
Thank you so much to the PTO and to all of your volunteers, because it really adds so much to our school community, especially to the students. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, thank you so
It's a
much.
great team.
It's a good team this
I'm
year.
like, wow, I know that.
Yeah, thank them. They're working hard. Okay, good luck with the rest of your session. Nice to meet those that I haven't met before.
All right,
Bye. Nice to see you. Bye.
All right. So that brings us.
Oh, thank you.
To, is that right?
Yes, please, thank you. I was also going to say thank you to Tinley and everybody who works in PTO. I think there's so many examples of the work that we do because kids, and I think that all of the work and the time and the passion behind it is another great example of how our community really focuses on all that we can do for the young beings in front of us, so thank you. So I'm going to first by saying Happy New Year for two reasons. One is we're starting a new school year, and the second is for our families and community members who celebrate Rosh Hashanah. Happy New Year to everybody out there. And before we even start talking about everything that's happened since September, I also want to say thank you to everyone who works so hard over the summer to make sure that we're ready for when the teachers and the students arrive back to school. So that's our IT team, our food service folks, our administrative assistants, everyone in central office who hired 3 times the number of staff members coming into this year. Our bus drivers, all 19 of them, as well as our excellent leaders in Deb and Jim who work all summer to make sure that we have staff and supplies and everything is ready to go. So thank you to the team who worked so hard before we even launched the school year. So that said, thank you. That's fun. Okay. So our focus this year, as you've heard, is really on joy and kids. Coming out of the pandemic, I think everybody was just exhausted and trying to get back to what we thought would be typical, trying to meet our students where they're at. Everybody put all of their energy on the playing field, left nothing behind, and come June, I think all of us were wondering why we do this work. And so the homework over the summer was to think about what brings educators and kids joy, what they're good at, and why they went into this profession. And I think at the end of the day, there's lots of reasons that we're joyful, lots of different talents, but we can all agree that we went into this work because of kids. And so if we can focus our time and energy in making decisions around kids and what's best for kids, and focus on the joy and love of learning that they celebrate every day in the classroom, then hopefully we can sustain this year, have some really deep engaging learning with our students, and come out in June in a much better place, more back on track. So we started at our leadership retreat in mid-August. That was with our 17 leaders. We had 2 days together, and they focused on our 3 goals, which I'll mention in a few minutes, around the equity audit, supporting students, and launching the next iteration of our strategic plan. Our opening convocation on August 29th, we brought all of our K-12, pre-K-12 teachers together to the auditorium. We had a little bit of fun and joy in the beginning with a photo booth and some music and some dancing. And then we launched into talking about because of kids, and Denny will talk a little bit about his piece as well. That said, one of our traditions as a district has been that our educators send in photos over the summer of time with their families or time doing joyful things, traveling, summer camps. We love that. Coming into the auditorium, everybody gets the oohs and the ahs of seeing their colleagues on the screen. This year we did the same thing for kids because we really, again, wanted to focus on the kids that are in front of us and the joy that they bring and the liveliness they bring to our schools every day. So I had sent out an email to our 6 through 12 students themselves and our K-12 parents saying please send in photos. And so we had a slideshow of the students going as well. And I got over 200 email responses, over 400 photos. Some families even gave me 5 pictures to pick from. I got to choose my favorite, which was super fun. But in my next slide, you'll notice some of the themes. that I came across as I was going through these photos. The first is it was a reminder that kids and people just want to be seen and heard. I thought it was pretty powerful that on a random Wednesday in the summer I said, please send me photos, and I got 200 responses right away. I also think it's important, given our equity audit, to note that there was a number of responses from students themselves and from parents representing our non-white families, and it was disproportionately so. So I think it was our families saying, yes, we want to be part of this community, our kids saying we want to be recognized, and please include us in this slideshow. So again, our equity work, I think, is just so important moving forward as we recognize what's in this bottom slide, the diversity in our community. And going through all of those photos and spending time the last couple of weeks in our schools is just a reminder of all of the different faces and perspectives and viewpoints that our kids bring to us each day. And we continue to grow in that. I think it's such a strength in terms of what we can learn from each other as we prepare our kids for the world beyond Dover, Sherburne, and Boston. In the top right, kids learn by doing. All of the photos from the summer, the kids were doing wonderful things. They were baking, they were playing baseball, they were riding bikes. So a reminder to us as educators that you have to practice being the scientist and practice being the historian in order to gain those skills. So a good reminder to launch the year. And then lastly, there were so many pictures of ice cream. So I just, when all else fails and you're having a bad day, just, get that pint of ice cream and all else will be fine. So a few reminders from our own kiddos. That said, I think there was a quote on the next slide. Yes, I saw this quote this summer, and it just really made me think about how the importance of social emotional learning and joy is to actually learning. And so it's literally neurobiologically impossible to think deeply about things that you don't care about. So if kids don't come to school and feel that connection to their teacher and feel that connection to the subject matter, they're not going to learn, and they're not going to learn deeply for something that they're going to remember in June on final exam or the following year when they pick up and start building that next layer. So again, all of this is not just to make us happy and love our jobs, but it's really important to learning as well. So thank you. And then, of course, after our district launch and talking about the joys of kids, we've celebrated some of our Chickering staff who have been with us for 15 years, Michelle Hugo, Christine Kreitler, and Elisa Saunders, and for 30 years, Amy Cohn. Wonderful recognition there for our educators and many new educators who I know Deb will speak about in a few minutes. But again, at Chickering, we hired at least 10 new educators, and that number continues to grow, and 11 new educational assistants. District-wide, we had 38 new educators and 28 new educational assistants over the summer. So again, a big number, lots of new perspectives, ideas, voices at the table, and we're super excited about what we've seen so far. And last slide for me, almost last slide, our 3 priorities. I won't go into depth because I did mention them last week at the joint school committee meeting, but again, setting our strategic path for what we want to keep and value and love about DS and where we want to go in the future, working on the results of the equity audit that we heard the findings last week, and making sure that's part of our path moving forward, and then continuing to support our students academically, social, emotionally, and behaviorally, both coming out of the pandemic and even just because it's what we should be doing for all kids. And lastly, a reminder about the P word, the pandemic. So we are, as you know, a mask optional school and respecting students and educators' individual choices. The testing kits are available, and we have several staff and students taking advantage of those and making choices to stay home when they are ill. Dawn and her team continue to work on the ventilation systems in the building to make sure that everything is clean and fresh as possible. And we're offering flu and booster clinics to our faculty next week, I believe. And we're hoping to work with the boards of health in each town to offer that for families and students as well. So more to come on that. And that's it for my report. I'm happy to answer questions, or I can pass it off to my new partner.
Questions?
Thank you. All right. Similar to how Bully feels about Tinley taking over and being able to see the job flourish and take on a new iteration, I was like, oh, it's like me and Denny. So I'm super excited that Denny is now by my side, and he's been just amazing so far and spending lots of time with kids, so you'll hear more about that now.
It's good to see everybody tonight at my first Dover School Committee meeting. Just have to give props to the Dover community and Chickering community that have been really welcoming. I felt really supported, and I felt people's enthusiasm, which has been a great way to start this new position. And obviously the superintendent It's fantastic. It's been a wonderful support as well. So just a few updates on my end about what some of the teachers have been up to over the summer. On August 23rd was our instructional launch, so we met with all of our elementary grade level PLC leaders, our middle school curriculum leaders, and our high school department heads. And we focused that day around the idea of powerful learning experiences. So we had teachers think about, what was something that was a meaningful, powerful learning experience in your life? What is the characteristics that made that up? And then we translated that into thinking about best practices that we want to use in the classroom with our students. So the cool thing about this is that we did this with the instructional leaders, and then last week during the early release, they did it in all the buildings, kind of replicated the activity. So here at Chickering, there's now a set of 10 best practices that the staff came up with, and we're going to be using those this year to lay out some specific look-fors. What do these things look like, feel like, and sound like when we're in the classrooms? I thought it was really interesting. I was actually sitting on my office floor typing these up this morning. That a lot of them brought up this idea of joy and laughter as an important part of our classroom as well. Nobody was saying that test scores and things like that should be the most important best practices. They were talking about authentic, real learning experiences, hands-on and student-focused. Next day, this was a very busy week. August 24th, we had another, I believe, 37 teachers and administrators come back for another workshop on multi-tiered systems of supports. Jeff Horwitz came and led that work, who works with Katie Novak, who leads a lot of the work throughout Massachusetts and throughout the country. This day was really focused on thinking about how we make decisions about our teaching. So really data and the indicators and the signals that we use in order to help us make decisions about what we do with students, how we do it with the students. So we worked in school teams for a good part of that day, really helping to think about what is the information we need to be collecting from students throughout the year. How can we use student work, student conversations, and other types of assessments to get a full picture of who our students are and support a wide variability of learners, which is the whole goal of the MTSS system, is to really target the fact that we know kids all learn in different ways and to kind of establish that from the start when we're planning for our students. August 25th was our new staff orientation, where we had all the mentors and the mentees, the new staff, come in for a day together. So that was a very exciting day, seeing the excitement of some people who were about to set up their classrooms for the first time ever. And just, it was a real nice buzz in the air for having so many new staff. Other things I've been up to since then, I've been trying to spend a lot of time in classrooms. I think Deb and Jim and the staff here have been so welcoming, and I just kind of bop around the school and see what's going on. And I've made a lot of new friends here at Chickering. I have some first grade friends and some second grade friends that have had a lot of interesting questions for me that have been fun to answer. And then I've also been having some of my entry plan meetings, meeting with different staff and administrators throughout the district to get to know what's had already been going on in Gilbert more. And if you want to learn more about what's going on in the teaching and learning world, we have our new Teaching and Learning Twitter account that you can follow, and we'll keep you up to date on all the great stuff happening in classrooms.
Questions, comments?
Is that your slide?
Yeah,
We'll revisit that.
yes.
You want to give us?
Oh no, we're going to go over this in November, I think.
It's a preview.
Okay, we'll get to it. Yeah, Holly?
Question. I'm just happy to welcome you to the district, and I'm curious, is there anything that has surprised you about our district since?
What surprised me? I mean, nothing really surprised me. I spent a whole day here last year and then some transition days in June. The community support and feel, I felt a lot. I felt the dedication from teachers and the passion they have for putting students first and making decisions that put students first. And I've also just been really impressed with a lot of the diversity that I've seen within the community. It doesn't necessarily just racial diversity, but I've had some conversations around the religious diversity in the community, family diversity, neurodiversity. So it has seemed like a really vibrant community from my first impressions.
It sounds strange, but I'm just so excited for you guys. The energy is just like fun. So keep that.
Thank you, Danny. Yes, welcome. Look forward to getting to know you more and hearing more from you as the year goes on. All right. So I think, yeah, Dr. Wright, then that brings us to you.
Thank you. Welcome back. We had the most amazing lunch ever. I think the first 3 days ended and we all walked out just buzzing. It was just the energy, the excitement. 20% of our staff are new in the building this year. Wow. And with it came new energy and great commitment to this is who we are and we want to make all of you part of our Chickering family. So it was just a really nice connection as people came in. I would be remiss if I didn't say a huge thank you to PTO, present and past leadership. The financial support is greatly appreciated and dinner last Thursday night was especially appreciated. We are suckers for a meal. And it was great. And homemade desserts someone brought in, so we're very appreciative. We had open house, as you heard, many of you all attended, so it was fantastic to have you all there. I've written in my notes about the School Advisory Council is up and running. Colleen, thank you for joining us again. The personnel section of this just continues to move around as we shuffled and juggled and hired. I did want to apologize. I spelled Joya's name wrong on page 2, first line. I had the I's out of order. Our new classroom teachers, our new special educators, adjustment counselors, cafeteria manager, and our new special ed and general ed assistants. If you've been at Chickering for a while, you might recognize the name of Cheryl Chase, who was our librarian here forever, has returned as an education assistant in first grade. She's having a ball. It was great fun. And then, gosh, the frosting on the whole week was our great cereal box challenge. I was in just grateful tears on Friday for the number of cereal boxes that came in, 583, and the amazing domino rally that we ran. I hope you all get to see the video. The screaming and the excitement of the kids was just magical. And they came down the stairs and it split and it went one way and it went the other way. And then we brought all the boxes and we just piled them in front of the mural on purpose, just piles and piles. So the kids all got to see them. And then we found boxes and they're all boxed up. Jamie Godfrey and her team from Community Outreach are going to take them over to a place to turn tomorrow. And on we go for what our next big challenge will be. The other thing that's coming, you have previews since you're here tonight. You have to have some great reason for having come to school committee other than just being here. We're going to launch our Rainbow Club, starting with the notes out tomorrow to families for LGBTQ plus students and allies, an after school program. So we'll be launching that in October, so you'll hear more about that tomorrow. Do you have any questions? Let them fly through.
I don't have a question, but I just want to say, like, it's just so that you can feel what you're talking about. Like, it's just nice to feel like school is back and like there is a positive energy and it's great for everybody. And the second thing I wanted to say was that the cereal box challenge was really cool and it made me think about what you guys were saying, that it can be hard. There can feel like lots of pressures to be academic all the time, and like a cereal box race may appear like, you know, not the best use of time per se, but I'd actually argue it's a huge, amazing use of time because it builds that community and it's one of those things kids remember that make them feel the joy of learning, and there's lots of little things to learn within building something like that. So thanks for letting that happen.
There is a science, there's the transfer of energy, that is.
Yeah.
Absolutely, they're academic, that's our plug for the transfer
But
of
as an
energy.
educator, it can feel like, can I really give up this time? And that was awesome to see that happen.
Well, not only was it exciting to see, you know, the palpable energy on the video with the domino. I mean, it was really heartwarming to think about the tangible difference that this will make in families' lives.
Mm-hmm.
You know, putting breakfast on the table, hopefully kids who go to school and focus because of that. It's really just very special, and grateful to our community for donating all of the cereal, and to you all for creating that opportunity for joy and giving in our school. So thank you.
Sort of proud.
Other questions or comments for Deb?
Thank you.
All right.
And if we have time, I'll show you the video again, but I think we're gonna run it, so sorry.
So good. So that, I think, brings us on to the warrant report.
Actually, where's the joy in my report?
I'll
try to just-
Stay within the
I paid a
boundaries.
lot of bills, as you can see. So your work report includes our closeout of fiscal year 22 and then all our work this summer on our fiscal year 23. And just for new members, that you're pretty all been around, but we process each warrant by fund, and that's why on the same day of the month you'll see multiple warrants because it's processed by fund, but that allows you to see sort of more clearly how we're spending, where the money's coming from. So anytime you have any questions, just reach out. Jumping over to the budget closeout, and so we presented pro forma statements to you back in June, and the numbers that we're presenting tonight are within about 30,000 of where we were in June, so there wasn't a whole lot of shifts. We knew we were going to have a negative variance in salaries because of adding the classroom sections. We did fund through other means some of the other positions that we added that weren't based on enrollment, so that 102,000 is basically the classroom teachers and educational assistants and such that went with that increase for our sections. Overall, our operating expenditures were within $5,000. There were some swings back and forth, so I took the longer narrative from your June report and did bullet points, but you can always go back to your June narrative and see a little more detail, but just trying to highlight some of the ins and outs. I will point out that we'll see a different picture this year with our oil bid. We weren't even able to lock in a price this year. It was so high for a fixed rate that we're on a variable, so I will be picking back with Holliston and his expertise on deciding when to go buy and when to lock it in. So it'll be a little more fun this year. And obviously in transportation, we saw an unexpected increase from the fuel surcharges for the contracts, and that's probably going to still continue at least for the short term. Around district, it was a good year because normally some of you we've seen years where we've been over 400,000. So we were just over 62,000. So at the end of the year, we are turning back about $1 million to the town, primarily because of the way we budget for circuit breaker. So we received $1.1 million in circuit breaker, which is not incorporated into your budget. So we only had to dip into that for $158,000 to cover both your teachers, additions, and a little bit we were over and out of district. So like I said, the town of Dover going back into their free cash is about $1 million. We will start jumping into fiscal year 23 at our October meeting, but I'll just preview a little bit that I will be bringing forward our initial capital plan for you because Dover's on a pretty accelerated capital plan. It's the capital committee requests all the committees return it in October, so we'll do a draft and then continue to build on that, but we're already looking and getting some updated quotes on a couple of things that we think will be bringing forward for fiscal year 24, I would say. Fiscal year 24, so we will be bringing that forward for action for you guys in October.
All right. Questions or comments for John? John? I appreciate, as always, the clarity around budget items and spending, so thank you. And thank you to Liz for being over.
Oh, yeah.
That's probably Nancy.
Yes. Very professional with that.
All right. So back to the agenda. I think that leaves us just with the consent agenda, which is approval of the minutes of our meeting from June 7th, 2022. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? A second? Second. Any discussion? I don't have any comments to offer. So all in favor? Any opposed? No? All right, so the motion carries unanimously. We have included in the packet for members' information several communications here. The meeting calendar for the upcoming year, our subcommittee assignments for Dover School Committee, as well as minutes from the Sherwood School Committee's June 14th meeting and the Region's June 14th meeting as well. So I think that brings us to the end of our agenda. So is there unanimous consent to adjourn? All right, and we'll adjourn at 7:41 p.m. Thank you to everyone. Thank you.